All right, let's dive into a story that is just raw. It's about family, betrayal, and a reunion that's been 20 years in the making. We're talking about two brothers, and this meeting, it can either end in total disaster, like actual bloodshed, or something miraculous.
So let's look at our two main characters here. You've got Jacob. He's the deceiver, the guy who basically stole his brother's entire future and then ran for the hills. 20 years later, he's coming back and he is terrified. And then there's Esau, the wronged brother, the one who lost it all. You'd expect him to be just seething, right? Waiting all this time to finally get his revenge. The stage is set for an epic and probably ugly showdown.
Okay, so how did things get this bad between them? Well, it all goes back to one massive act of betrayal. Jacob, using some serious trickery, swiped not just the birthright, which was a huge deal, a double share of the inheritance, but also the blessing. And that blessing meant everything. It meant he'd be the next leader of the family. This wasn't just some small lie. This was a complete theft of Esau's identity and future. Jacob had to literally run for his life, and they haven't laid eyes on each other since. So yeah, the stakes here are about as high as they get.
You really got to get inside Jacob's head at this moment. He's not strolling back into town thinking, hey, hope my brother's over it. No way. He is consumed by fear, a deep, paralyzing fear. He is 100% convinced that Esau is going to come at him with everything he's got. And honestly, Jacob knows he deserves it. This isn't about patching things up over dinner. He's literally planning for a battle. He thinks this could be the end of him.
But here's the twist. The Jacob who's coming back, he's not the same schemer who ran away. 20 years has changed him. This time, there's no clever trick up his sleeve. His whole game plan is built on something totally new for him: humility. And it doesn't feel like an act, you know? It seems like this is a man who has been completely, genuinely transformed.
And his plan? It's incredibly thought out. First, he divides his entire camp, his family, his servants, everything, into two groups. It's a survival tactic, pure and simple. If Esau attacks one, maybe the other can escape. Then he sends these massive gifts ahead of him. We're talking waves of animals, goats, camels, cattle. This isn't a bribe. It's him trying to make things right. And then, the final piece. He approaches Esau and bows to the ground. Not once, but 7 times. I mean, for a guy whose entire life was about getting ahead, this is a 180-degree turn. It's just staggering.
And listen to what he says. It's so important. He actually calls his gift my blessing. Think about that. He's using the exact word for the very thing he stole from Esau. It's a direct acknowledgement of his crime. But he doesn't brag about his wealth. He says it's all because God has been gracious to him. He's giving all the credit to a higher power, showing just how much his perspective has shifted.
Okay, so the stage is set. The gifts have been sent. The bows have been made. Jacob has done everything humanly possible to show he's changed. Now, it's the moment of truth. Everything he's done has been based on one single assumption, that Esau is coming for him, full of rage. But what's about to happen, nobody could have seen it coming.
And this is it, right? The question that's been hanging in the air for 20 years. After all that anger, all that betrayal, with his deceptive brother now totally vulnerable in front of him, what is Esau going to do? Is he going to draw his sword? Or is something else about to happen?
And the answer is just wow. It's completely stunning. Instead of violence, Esau runs. But he's not running to attack. He runs to embrace Jacob. He throws his arms around his neck, kisses him, and the two of them just stand there and weep. All that expected revenge, all that tension, it's just gone, washed away in this unbelievable moment of forgiveness. It's beautiful.
Jacob is just floored by this. I mean, completely overwhelmed. And he says something incredible to Esau. He says that seeing his brother's face, a face that accepted and forgave him, was like seeing the face of God. Think about that. For Jacob, this act of human forgiveness was so powerful, so unexpected, that it felt like a divine encounter. It healed a wound that everyone thought would last forever. So this story is obviously more than just a dramatic family reunion, right? It's really a kind of roadmap, a blueprint for something much, much bigger. So let's unpack that. What can this ancient story teach us about healing the deep divisions in our own lives? What we're talking about here is reconciliation. And what is that, really? It's about restoring things that are broken. It's this powerful idea that a relationship that is just filled with legitimate anger and hate can be completely flipped into one of peace. And the key thing here is that it's not just about trying harder. It's about an act of grace that almost doesn't make logical sense. So let's boil it down. What are the big takeaways? First off, real reconciliation has to start with humility. You can't demand it, you have to approach it like Jacob did. Second, grace is way more powerful than we think. It can actually overcome decades of bitterness and betrayal. Third, this story shows us that human hearts can actually change. I mean, Esau's rage turned into love. That's a huge deal. And finally, it kind of puts the ball in our court, suggesting that this work of bringing people together, that's a job for all of us.
And that really leaves us with a tough question to chew on, doesn't it? We just saw a story where forgiveness seemed totally impossible, but it happened. So it makes you look at your own life, right? At the conflicts, the broken relationships. And you have to ask yourself, what does it really take to forgive the unforgivable? Maybe the answer, like in this story, isn't just one thing. Maybe it's somewhere in that mix of our own humility and, well, a little bit of grace.